I've been watching anime since the good old days of Toonami, with the first one I remember being Dragon Ball Z. Since then I've been a diehard weeb and have watched more shows than I can count, but despite that there are some that fall through the cracks. Hidden gems that once I checked out I'm surprised no one really talks about, and this is one such show, recommended to me by a fan of this channel, Bartender. Hey, I'm Mike and welcome to the Lion's Lounge. Bartender is a 2006 drama anime based on the manga of the same name. It's an episodic series that follows Ryu Sasakura, the bartender of Eden Hall in Ginza. While I initially compared it to Death Parade, a series I also talked about on this channel, watching the first few episodes of Bartender, you can clearly see how they're different. Death Parade used the bar's setting to have its customers play games to uncover how they died, and the bartender served as an arbiter that uses these games to determine their fates. Every episode ended on a very melancholic note, as you can't help but wonder how the characters' lives may have been different had they taken different paths. Bartender, on the other hand, is hopeful. Ryu mixes cocktails called the Glass of the Gods, a different drink for each customer, crafted to help resolve whatever problem they're currently facing. From a hotel designer tasked with remodeling a bar, despite the fact that he harbors hatred for all bars and their bartenders, to a screenwriter who's had extreme writer's block, feeling that he and his friend, the director, have lost their edge. There's a far greater emphasis here on the meaning and origin of each drink, often being a reflection of the patron's current state of affairs, or a gentle nudge that there is a solution that they just weren't able to see. And it really feels like Ryu has made an impact, not only by the reaction of the customers by the end of each episode, but by the fact that they will often return as commentators in later episodes, having moved past their issues and are now able to give guidance themselves. It's a short series, only being 11 episodes long, but by the end of it I felt like Ryu had helped me too. It's no secret that this year has been difficult for a lot of us, so we need a short escape every now and then to help us forget our problems, at least for a bit, and Bartender serves as this escape. Today we're going to be making two drinks, the Bijou and the Bartender. The Bijou is featured in episode 4 and is made for a married couple struggling to stay together, as the husband constantly puts work ahead of his wife, so much so that he rarely sees her, even willing to leave their anniversary if his job calls him in. However, Ryu creates the Bijou, which is a layer drink with each layer meant to resemble a jewel, that when mixed will become a beautiful amber color, highlighting how, like amber, relationships grow more beautiful the more time that's put in, causing the husband to realize he needs to prioritize his wife more than the job he took to impress her family. So like the show, I'm going to start this as a layered drink just so you can see all three of those colors before they mesh. It's worth noting that if you're going to do this method, make sure you follow it in this exact order because the densities do matter, and if you don't, they won't layer. Another thing I wanted to try out this episode is this little handy dandy layering device that I got. So first up, you're going to want an ounce or 30 milliliters of Sweet Vermouth, then an ounce or 30 milliliters of Green Chartreuse, and lastly an ounce or 30 milliliters of a London Dry gin. So this is the initial form of the Bijou before he mixes it. As you can see, there are 3 layers here, one that's kind of a reddish orange, one that's a green, and one that's a clear white, meant to resemble 3 different gems. Now to make the finalized version of this cocktail, you're going to take all these ingredients and pour them into a mixing glass. Then add a dash of orange bitters. Now add some ice to your glass and stir for about 30 to 40 seconds. Then strain it into a chilled coupe. And there you have the Bijou, or as it's later called, the Amber Dream. Cheers. Oh man, that's really strong. The first thing you taste is the chartreuse coming through. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know chartreuse is an herbal liqueur, and I wouldn't even really call it a liqueur because the green variant is like 55%. The vermouth adds a little bit of sweetness to it to help mellow out that strength of the chartreuse. And then you get the botanicals of the gin too that play into that flavor profile. It's very strong and definitely something I would have to drink for a while. Be careful with this one. This last drink is the Bartender, made in the final episode of the series and used to demonstrate how mixing powerful ingredients can be very dangerous, as the balance of the drink can easily be tipped, with the greatest fear of a bartender being to make something for the customer that they either don't enjoy or isn't right for them. And so they continue to strive for perfection. This cocktail is very heavy on different wine spirits, featuring dry vermouth, Dubonnet, and a Fino sherry, with the only other ingredients being a gin and some Grand Marnier, which is an orange liqueur made from cognac. And like the previous one, this is another stirred drink. So first up, you're gonna want half an ounce or 15 milliliters of a dry vermouth. Next, half an ounce or 15 milliliters of Dubonnet. Then half an ounce or 15 milliliters of sherry, preferably a Fino sherry. Next, half an ounce or 15 milliliters of a London dry gin. And lastly, a dash of Grand Marnier. Now, I don't have a dasher bottle for this, so I'm just gonna use a 1/4 bar spoon. Add some ice to your mixing glass and stir for about 30 seconds. Then strain into a chilled Nick and Nor glass. And for garnish, you're just gonna use a small orange peel. And there you have the Bartender. Cheers. Yeah, definitely a wine cocktail. That Dubonnet and the sherry really is the more prominent flavors that you get there. And the Grand Marnier, those notes of orange come in at the very end. So it's wine up front, some botanicals mixed in there, with orange at the very tail end. A pretty good cocktail if you like wine a lot and you wanted to experiment and see what you could make with it. Today we talked about the Bartender and made some drinks from it. The Bijou and the Bartender. If you like this video and want to see more, please like and subscribe. If you have any other cocktails you'd like me to make, please let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to see what I make outside this channel, follow me on Twitter at Mr. Spacelion or Instagram at Mr.Spacelion. Thank you so much for stopping by the Lion's Lounge. I'm Mike, and I hope to see you next time.